What's good, fam? It is a Sunday fun day. I hope y'all had a really good week and weekend. We're getting ready to start a new week, fresh new week. We got fall coming in. Unfortunately, we don't have many seasons here in the Houston area. That's okay because I can always visit my home in Indiana, get that feel, that fall feeling. Let me know in the comments where you are watching from and if it is feeling fall right now. It's like, what was today? Like 89, 88 degrees. Yeah, it's warm here in the H, but enough about the weather. How are y'all feeling tonight, fam? Are y'all ready to get this new week started? Are you resting? What you watching football? Let me know in the comments what is good. Iceberg Slim said, "Salute TBS. What's good, Iceberg Slim?" Thank y'all for joining me. Again, I don't take this lightly. Thank you all for showing up every Sunday, checking me out, sitting down and having these discussions with me. I just really appreciate you all. And again, as I said before, let me know in the comment section what you like for us to sit and talk about. Relationship everything, whether that is relationships with your boyfriend, your husband, relationships with your siblings, your mother and father. It's all about relationships on the Relationship Reality Podcast with your girl, Texas Brown Sugar. And again, welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, fam. Y'all know it is hitting up the timeline again. The timeline is lit with the internet dragging Ayesha Curry. They are dragging her, y'all, like it's her their marriage license on the line. We also going to talk about emotional dysregulation, which I don't know why they always trying to drag some new word in. It's all about trauma though. And we're going to talk about all of that tonight. Not just Ayesha, but how we need to choose partners when our hearts are loud and our logic is on mute, because a lot of people are out in these streets choosing marriage because that's what their heart is telling them, and they're throwing logic out the window. We're going to talk about how that is the wrong thing to do, is to leave logic off the table, because y'all know feelings change. They cute and all, but feelings also fade. And what's going to make that marriage, that relationship long lasting when those feelings fade? That's why y'all come here to Relationship Reality, so we can have this discussion. Also, why you can love somebody and still not be able to build with them. That's where the logic comes in, y'all. We're going to talk about that tonight. Where because what I don't want y'all to get into a relationship do and allow the emotions to run the show. Growth oftentimes gets misinterpreted. And I think that's the case with Ayesha Curry. We're going to talk about that later, of course. And when love starts needing a little more logic and a little less lust, we're going to get into it. But first, let's talk about, and I had to look this up, y'all, because I don't know what this is. Emotional dysregulation. And so looking it up on Dis There we go. So AI has it here, y'all. AI has it. I yeah. Let me share my screen with you so y'all can see what I'm looking at because yeah, I mm. So AI is telling us that emotional dysregulation refers to the inability to manage and control one's emotions effectively. Y'all, we this is this what we mean when people crash out? You see all these videos of, sadly enough, it's a lot of women that are crashing out. And they're trying to say that this emotional dysregulation is because of biological and physical factors like trauma and somewhat a little of the brain, like some mental health issues. What does that mean in relationships? Let's talk about the real villain in this: emotional instability. And we we talk about how we want someone that is emotionally intelligent. And I think this goes into a line of the internet, the inability to manage and control one's emotions effectively. Emotional dysregulation equals reacting from your wounds, from your history, your instead of operating in wisdom. And I was looking into this and some of the signs of emotional dysregulation, because I want y'all to be educated, is usually someone who shows that they are needing reassurance constantly. They overreact to small things. Yeah, y'all see a lot of these people crashing out, stonewalling, or they have emotional outbursts. I don't know. This is troubling because this to me is, it seems like it's like everybody that we see on the internet. So is anybody showing any emotional regulation? So specifically talking about relationships, because this is Relationship Realities podcast, and emotionally dysregulated relationships, love for the other person feels like you are walking on eggshells. Imagine coming into the house and you have a young lady or a young man crashing out. Every single time they come in, it's intense. And it's like you have to walk on eggshells. And I'm not saying that you should not have conflict within there is such a thing as healthy conflict. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to have conflict in relationships. But what we need to learn and understand is that we need to be able to regulate our emotions, be able to react in a way in which our significant other doesn't have to walk on eggshells. I think the and everybody want to talk about it, but let's be real. Post, y'all know the 19, it just seems like everything from an emotional standpoint, mental health was exploded times 10. And some people are like, well, I just love hard. I'm just passionate. No, no, hun. A, that's emotional dysregulation. In the chat, y'all, when was the last time you confused passion and emotional intensity for real intimacy? I don't know. Would you rather have someone who excites like your emotions or someone who regulates them? Because some people like it's boring. I'd rather be with some. To each his own. I don't want to have to deal with that every day. And then I wonder about the safety of some of these people in these unsafe relationships. It's like they crashing out every day. Uh, let me know. Let me know. Um, moving on to the next topic. This one's deep because I will be honest. When I first married, I thought it was all about love, wanting and needing to be in love. I am very, very, very grateful and thankful that the good Lord allowed me to be with somebody who not only loved me, but also there was some logic within this relationship. Because keeping it 100, I wasn't really logical. It wasn't a whole lot of logic when I decided to marry my husband. And I don't want anyone to get into a relationship and throw the logic out the door because I was so deep into my butterflies. And I'm so, so grateful that there was some logic and that we are growing and we are in such a healthy relationship because it wasn't primarily based off of love. But check out this advice that this young, I'm gonna call her young, she's a bit seasoned, so she's giving y'all some advice. It's dope. Check it out.
The best advice I can give you for when you're choosing a lifelong partner is to not base your decision on your feelings. Make that decision based on your logic, the facts, the kind of person they are. Because the decisions that you're going to have to make with that person
Mm.
won't have anything to do with your feelings. When the
Real talk, because when you and your partner are going through a storm, those feelings quickly rush out the window. And that's when you need somebody who is grounded in their emotions, grounded as a leader, as a partner. Because when those storms come, let me tell you, love ain't got nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. I'm gonna let her cook.
bills come time to be due,
Mm.
when the children get sick, when you have parents to pass away, when you need somebody to stand with you in the paint, them feelings, they ain't gonna have nothing to do with it. You're gonna need somebody who trustworthy, somebody who dependable, somebody who kind, someone who is emotionally stable. Because if you got somebody who just who you just love, but they don't have none of those traits that you're gonna need when times get hard.
Hmm.
What y'all don't realize, when you with somebody 3, 4, 5 years down the road, them feelings gonna disappear. It's gonna be days y'all don't like each other. It's gonna be days you don't even want to look at them. If y'all have the traits, you got somebody that's gonna keep their word. Then it don't matter if y'all done had an argument, y'all having bad times. They gonna still be there. They gonna still handle their responsibilities like they supposed to. And that's the kind of person you want with you. I know that that's the reason my marriage lasted for 22 years,
Hmm.
because my husband was kind, trustworthy, dependable, loving. He was the kind of man I would want my daughter with. And if you don't have the kind of man that you would want your child with, your daughter, your son,
Hmm.
you ain't got the right person. You need to move on. Don't make a lifelong decision based
Lifelong. Life marriage is not something that y'all hop in and out of. This is a lifelong decision.
on your feelings. Don't do it.
Love is not the reason why you get married. Because those butterflies that y'all have are going to die. And logic is going to have to keep that love alive. When you ask someone, why is it that you love me? What is it that you like about me? Oh, you can throw down and make a mean macaroni and cheese. What happens when the kids are out the home? I'm tired of cooking and I'm not making that mac and cheese no more. You gonna fall out of love with me? You gonna divorce me because I'm not making the mac and cheese no more? Honey, when the bills are due and the parents pass, the kids get sick, feelings do not pay the rent. Feelings do not help you with the overnight sick time. When you dog tired and got to get up in the morning and go to work, and your kid is on the toilet all night long, the feelings are gone during that time. Emotional people aren't just kind. They are predictable. Are you predictable? And this is where discernment comes in, y'all, because a lot of people are choosing to be in long-term relationships based off of the butterflies in their stomach. You have to be able to discern and choose a spouse almost like you would choose a business partner. I know a lot of people don't like to correlate marriage with business, but it is a business. You have a legacy that you are maintaining. That's your business. You are in the business of keeping your family legacy on track. Look at look at the partner's track record and not the chemistry. Look at their actions, not their words. Is this a business partner you want? A business partner for life. People cannot jump into marriage like y'all jump into these cars every 3 4 years. uh I don't like this car no more. That one looks more appealing. Let me go ahead and get that car. Marriage is for life. This is a lifelong choice you are making. Can you be with this person through the storm? Y'all know my favorite song, Can You Stand the Rain? Can you stand the rain with this person? I know it may sound cold because I'm saying it's not about love. Fam, it's about clarity. Clarity. In the chat, let me know, if is there a non-negotiable that you would require or you are requiring for your lifelong partner? Let me know. Am I over the top? Is love a requirement? Or am I being too logical when it comes to marriage? What if you have love and no logic? Where does that lead you? For me, that's chaos. Because love can fade in and out. Being 100, there are times with my children, I don't like you right now because you are acting like a plum fool, but I still love you. I still love you enough to correct you. I still love you enough to be patient with you. That faded in and out with your partner. Is it all love and no logic? I, I thought this was probably the realest advice that you will ever get, because everybody wants to say that you got to be in love, that love is, and don't get me wrong, love is super strong and will hold a lot of things together. But again, that love we are human. That love fades in and out. And when it fades out, what are you left with? Are you going to want to walk away and divorce that young man, that young woman, because the love is gone? Man, all these R&B songs don't going in my head. Love is lost. Would you stay or would you go? If you felt like the love was lost and you had no logic, I don't know. Let me know in the chat. I'm calling this the Ayesha Curry effect because yeah, they've been on her head. They have been on her head. Um and let's look at what people are talking about, cuz my I'll share with y'all my thoughts um after we take a look at what she said. Let's take a look. Pull this up. Look at that. She was Ayesha Curry was on the Call My Daddy podcast, and she was talking about, marriage, motherhood and her identity. And I'll put it in the description, just like the marriage advice. I'll put that through the young lady's TikTok account in there. But it's an hour long segment, but a lot of people are really honing in on this portion of the episode. Let's check it out.
Did you always knew you wanted a big family?
No. So I didn't want kids. I didn't want to get married. I thought I was going to be career girl and that's it. And I had my eyes set on my goals. And I was never the little girl that like dreamt about the wedding dress and all of that. And then it happened so early in my life. So it's like, it's one of those things like you don't know what you actually don't know what you want.
Well, it's so interesting you say that because I want to talk a lot about that today because I relate to you in that way. Like I really, really never thought I was going to get married. I'm like, there is actually no way that's ever going to happen. And then it happens and you're like, maybe I didn't know myself that well. And it's like, no, you knew yourself when you were young. Yes. And then life happens and then you grow up and then you have different wants and needs and that's okay to change your mind.
Yes.
But it's still shocking.
It's still shocking.
Okay, wait. Quickly back to parenting.
Ayesha is getting a lot of slack for this. The internet has been on her head. They have been loud about her getting on a lot of these podcasts, and essentially she is discussing on these podcasts how she had no plans to marry. She had no plans to have children, that she really didn't see Steph Curry in the light of a husband, probably because she didn't see herself getting married. But they have been on her, and the internet is saying that she is disrespecting Steph and that she has no respect for her marriage. Steph, of course, has come to her defense and said, hey, y'all, that's not what it is. It's not what you think it is. I don't know. In the chat, let me know, by her having these discussions on these podcasts, because it looks like she's going on a podcast tour. She's been on multiple podcasts. Is she disrespecting her marriage for discussing what was, for her honest life story? And are we upset that she has evolved? Because remember, she was 22 years old when she got married to Steph. At 22 years old, did you as a person really know what you wanted? Did you know that you wanted to be married? And was that because a lot of times our fantasies as we grow up are where we're playing out our fantasies of what we dreamt when we were young. Then we get into the real world and we realize that what we thought we wanted when we were 7 or 8 is not really what we wanted. And I know a lot of people are probably going to not see it the way I see it. They will probably not agree because, oh, she's with Steph Curry. Regardless of who she was with, she was 22 years old. She didn't know what she wanted. And I feel like we are attacking this lady because she evolved, because she's letting the world know that when she was 22, she really didn't see herself married. She didn't really see herself with a big family. Is she disrespecting her marriage or not acting like a wife because she's here expressing to others that that is how she felt, and allowing other women who are at that age, letting them know that it's okay that you don't know what you want, that you don't know whether you want children or not, and that you can evolve, that you can one day want have this fairy tale what your life look like, and then real life happens and it's not actually what ends up happening. Now there are a few things that I did not agree should have been said. I think she went on one podcast and indicated that, she really didn't like Steph in the beginning. Um, you know, some things, as y'all know, I am huge. Some things just are not meant for Wi-Fi, are meant for the timeline. Some things you need to keep in a journal. But I think in this particular podcast, I don't feel like she was being disrespectful to her husband, because honestly, at 22 years old, did you know what you wanted? Looking at your life now and looking at your life when you were 21 or 22, did you know that you wanted what you have now? 22, I was still in college trying to figure out what my life was going to look like. I think we need to give Ayesha a little slack. Again, I'm not completely in agreement with everything that she has said, but I think we need to take the lessons learned and grow from this, and understand that it's okay for us to grow, that it's okay that at 22 we don't know what we want. Life happens and we move and shake and make it into something great. I think society is really on her head, because a lot of people want the lifestyle that she has, where she doesn't have to worry about much of anything. And we also have to understand she is a human being, and that as you get older, you you think about life, where you're headed. As your children are getting older, you you think about, what is it going to look like, my life look like, once the children are out of the home? What am I going to grow into? What does that look like? How am I going to evolve? And I think society's interpretation of a woman's evolution is different for men, because it's okay for men to evolve once they are a husband and a father. But society sometimes puts a double standard on women when they evolve. And again, I'm not in agreement with a lot of what she said, But I also believe that this young lady is evolving. She is really truly finding herself because she did not have the opportunity to do so when she was 22. Men evolve, they get in shape, they start dressing better, they get a little bit more attention. It's called leveling up. Is it leveling up when women are in a similar situation? I feel like a woman can love her husband, love her children, love her family, and still love herself. What that looks like is different for everyone. I also believe that what goes on in their marriage and what they deem as acceptable may not be what others deem acceptable in their marriage. Steph's came out and said he's okay. He's I shouldn't say he said he's okay. He has made a couple of comments when people kind of bashed his wife. We have to understand that marriage should not erase individuality. It's actually supposed to refine you. And I feel like as long as Ayesha is being refined into the wife, into the mother that God has planned for her, I think we as a society there's nothing we can say. I don't think the problem is that Ayesha has changed. I think that the growth doesn't fit everybody's narrative. Because she is not LeBron's wife, because a lot of people gave LeBron's wife kudos because they said, she stayed in the background. And I guess everyone expected Ayesha to stay in the background, but that wasn't her personality. That was not who she was. Steph knew when he married her, that is Ayesha. I don't believe we should change who we are to fit the narrative of what everyone else deems as acceptable. As long as this young lady is fulfilling her duties as a wife and a mother, who cares if she's got a cookbook? Who cares if she has a TV show? Yeah, some of the comments about it seems as if she's trying to outshine Steph. She doesn't like the fact that Steph is in the limelight. I can't speak for her on that. But in this instance, with this particular podcast, I didn't see anything wrong with it. And maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comment section. Maybe I'm wrong. Is she being disrespectful to her husband, to her marriage, because she has admitted that she initially didn't want to be married? She wanted to be a career girl. And speaking of that, I think a lot of people don't realize that when we choose to be a career girl and then later on in life we decide we want a family, we don't want to be alone, that there are a lot of cons to deciding that later on in life. I was very fortunate that I kind of chose I chose to have children later on in life. I chose to chill with my husband and have children later in life. There are a lot of cons to that. But I also feel like I made a very conscious and logical decision to have children later on in life. Having a career and trying to have a family in this modern world is very, very difficult. It's almost like we as women have to choose whether we want a career or whether or not we want a family. I don't believe it has to be that way. We're in 2025. A lot has changed for women, good or bad. We have the choice to choose the path of a career, choose the path of being a stay at home mom. And life is not set up where it's so black and white anymore. I think we as women, we as society need to try and understand that being in this world 2025 is difficult, very difficult for women because the world tells us that we need to have a career. A lot of us dream of having a career, dream of being an entrepreneur, and we dream of having a family. But it appears as if the world is telling us we can't have both. Why is that? It's like people are defending traditional values, but they forget that it's really, truly hard these days to live a truly, truly traditional life. I'm just asking, give the poor lady a little slack. She has decided that she wants to be her, do the things she didn't get a chance to do when she was 22. I'm not telling her to be out in these streets. Not that at all. And I really truly think that she's expressing her self-assurance. I mean, is Steph good with this? If he is, why we mad on his behalf? Respect in marriage goes both ways, okay? It is mutual trust. Mutual trust. And it's not about a public performance. He is apparent. I'm assuming he's supporting her. He's supporting her podcast journey. And I'm sure there was discussions when she first went on. He's okay with it. And that's their partnership. Do y'all think Ayesha's confidence is crossing the line? Do you think that she needs to shrink herself back into the mother and wife role? Can a woman fully be herself and married? Or does the world expect her to disappear behind her husband's name? Because she chose to be with Steph Curry, who is a phenomenal basketball player, Is she expected to be like LeBron's wife and disappear behind him? Why? Why not? There's so many questions. But let's be honest, ma'am. Have you ever dimmed your light? You didn't shine as bright so that people wouldn't call you too much. Say that, oh, she doing too much. Oh, he doing too much. Have you ever dimmed your light because you were afraid that that's what people would say? I with this particular podcast, I enjoyed hearing what she had to say, and I aligned with a lot of what she was saying. And again, as women living in a modern world where society, a lot of society wants conservative, traditional women, it's very hard. It's very hard because growing up, a lot of our parents didn't teach us to be traditional women, didn't teach us to be traditional women in a modern world. A lot of our parents taught us to be modern women. We go out, we get the job, we don't depend on someone else. And a lot of times that's hard to break, regardless of who we're with, regardless of if I'm with Steph Curry or not. My upbringing didn't teach me how to be a traditional wife. My upbringing didn't teach me how to be a traditional wife in a modern world with a celebrity husband. She's evolving, man. Whether you like it or not, she's growing. And it doesn't necessarily mean that she has changed for the worse. All right, this week, y'all, I like to give homework too. Think about one thing that represents your growth. In your journal this week, if you journal or pull out your phone or just sit in stillness. That's hard a lot of times these days. Sit in stillness and stop and think. What's one thing that represents my growth? Anyway, enough about that. I've been out on my platform. Again, share with somebody this podcast. Hit that like button, hit subscribe if you are not subscribed. I am here every Sunday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Come holla at your girl. We got some things coming, some interviews coming. I am excited. And again, let me know in the comments, y'all, what is it y'all want to talk about? What is it y'all want to discuss? This is a two-way street. I'm so glad y'all chose to hang out with me on your Saturday evening as we just chop it up. I am your girl, Texas Brown Sugar, and I will see y'all next Sunday. All right. See y'all.